So we're hunting central Kansas and west Kansas for quail and pheasant this week. It's a week of November 11th to the 15th. It's already been a long trip. It's only started. Had some huge hiccups getting here through O'Hare in Iraq. Chirac. So didn't get my luggage, but I was able to get outfitted enough to go hunting today for my buddy Zach. So we'll be good to go. Got our licenses, and we'll hopefully be on birds within an hour. And it's almost lunchtime. It was 5 degrees this morning. But we got nice little cabins. Our cabin's getting moved because our water pipe froze. We couldn't take showers at 2:30 in the morning last night. So, again, rough trip to start, but everything will be good. We'll get on birds and we'll have a good rest of the week, and luggage will arrive sometime today and get on it. CZ 20 gauge Bob White, English style double trigger, black on black with the Carlson choke tubes. Jay, what are you shooting with today?
CZ Supreme Field 20 gauge over and under.
Running them Carlson choke tubes as well. Got some nice wood on that gun. I got a 12 Supreme Field back home. Sits in a safe.
Get a picture of the side of her head. She's got a pretty head.
The local fauna that we will be hunting today happened to be frozen in Zach's car door. This is the flat part of Kansas. Can't wait to get my truck back from Mainline. The wife's excited to do like classic trails, class 6 trails, and go up in the mountains in the snow. They'll be able to do all that.
Yeah.
I should grab a jack too, though. High jack.
Yeah, high jack. You're gonna want your sliders.
Hi, I'm Jim Gorley with Setter Dogs in north central Kansas in Lincoln County. We do a variety of hunts. We do wild quail hunts, turkey and deer, and also do a ton of bird dog training. That's how I came to know Zach from CZ in training his dog named Gerda. Gerda was experiencing some difficulties in terms of pointing birds and holding, and so I worked with her for about 30 days, and it's a testament to Gerda's skills and talents, but she passed the test and did very well. Zach has now come out to do some bird hunting for an afternoon, and we ran into maybe 3 or 4 coveys of quail and 10-20 pheasants, and they were able to get some dog work and kill a few birds. We were primarily in very much natural habitat, whether it be milo stubble, quail buffers, or CRP, or just plain creek bottom type stuff that had cattails and that sort of habitat. All of these are wild birds, and we had a good afternoon. We had a great afternoon. You might see the famous woodcock in front of you right now, and it is a bird that has quite the story. We were hunting quail about 10 miles south of here on a place I've hunted for over 40 years, and I've never seen a woodcock on it. We had a point by the dogs, and a woodcock flushes. Now, fortunately, these two guys were from Maryland. They had shot lots of woodcock over the years and rough grouse. So we all sort of looked at each other for a second, and I said, shoot him. and he shot the bird, and this is what we ended up with. This woodcock is very unusual. His eye set is very unusual, although I think it is natural. The taxidermist who did it was a local guy that has done stuff for the Smithsonian Institute and has done lots of other stuff for me and is a great taxidermist. And I think the eye set is very unusual, maybe why he was off course and in the middle of Kansas flying through. But that is the story of the famous woodcock.
Well, thank you for the introduction and letting us spend time with you today. We had an awesome day. We walked away with 5 birds, 3 pheasant, 2 quail. So good day.
Welcome. Thank you.
Why is his eye there? He's special.
Can you handle more business?
I can handle more business.
Well, then,
Not a lot more business.
everything's okay then. Not a lot. What part are you overwhelmed with? Dogs? Clean up shit? Motherfucker!
That's totally fine. All right, so we're leaving Wilson, Kansas. We're gonna be heading west. So we're in central Kansas right now. Packing up and going. We got 3 pheasant yesterday and 2 quail. Saw a bunch of pheasant fly into some CRP at the end of the night. It was starting to turn into sunset, and we got on the birds. They flew about 100 yards in front of us while we were getting ready to hit the CRP. They flew into the CRP from feeding in the tree line between 2 fields. There's probably 10 birds that flew in there. We moved 4 and shot 3, so that was good. We did hit a 4th one. We couldn't recover it. It was such a big field, and the bird ran forever after getting grounded. But otherwise, good end of the day. Just want to show you guys the iridescence, the beautiful colors. Now, people might not know, but pheasant are actually an invasive species that were brought to America from China in the 1800s. So technically, this is a non-native bird, but they are hunted like they're a native bird with a daily limit. The quail that we're hunting are a native bird. But that light, see all the beautiful colors in different parts of the state? The birds are going to have different bloodlines, and they might have more greens in the face than blues. Just love that copper iridescent chest. Really beautiful. Probably why they're so great for tying flies.
Where's the giant ball of twine?
Lucas, Kansas, at the Garden of Eden, a gentleman has converted his home into what looks like a concrete version of the story of Garden of Eden. I don't think I'd ever want to live in a biblical home. Did he lose his mind?
Maybe. He's in one of these buildings over here. He's entombed.
Oh, he's dead?
Oh yeah, this happened like way back. Oh man, when was it? Paul might know when he made all this. It's a long time ago. Back when this kind of stuff wasn't normal.
This is definitely not normal, even in today's standards. Do they have animals back there too? There's like cages and shit. Oh, he's entombed on the property?
And wife.
Oh my god. Man, white people in Kansas are crazy.
Yeah, look at all those stone ferns over there.
It's a very artistic town. Homemade bologna.
What we got?
Turkey sausage. You want to put them back here?
You got anything a little more?
Just a jerky. Hot jerky. Okay.
You gotta try that.
No, sorry. It comes in prepackaged. Okay. Yeah.
Hickory hollow cheese curds.
Yeah, he's got some. Oh, you got some? Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of a cool snaky little thing.
It is. So you know they've got water, they've got crop,
The edge will be quail.
and we've got a little water weight in here that runs to that. So it'll just be interesting. We're gonna see what we get up. If this is Milo, we're gonna be super happy.
Could you get quail coveys on this edge?
Totally.
Okay.
You can find a quail covey right in here. So we're looking for brushiness. We're looking for an old farmstead. You know, we'll see what this is. If we pull in here and it's cut Milo, we're going to be super happy. If we pull in there and it's cut wheat, we'll probably still be okay. If it's corn, I mean, it'll be fine. We can still walk it. But stuff like this right here, that could be cool.
Yeah.
It just depends on what it looks like when we get there.
Tom's over there. Zach's carrying his dog. She's got allergies. And we're pushing. Hey, this is Zach. Work over at CZ USA. I want to tell you a little story. We just walked this walk in. We just walked this walk in, and this is Frey dog. Her name's Freya. She got a bit of an allergy that flares up every once in a while. We put her on a pill. It's about $2 a day that helps. Today was not a good day, so halfway into that field we got into birds, and that's about when she started having an allergic attack. So I wanted to give a big shout out to Columbia. They make this bird vest. This is actually the second time that I've employed it in just this way. So she's about a 55-pound dog. She's definitely slung in there pretty good. So I had to do this in South Dakota when she got into some really bad stickers. Doing it out here because of her allergy attack, but it's a heck of a thing to have a piece of gear built this well. It's holding 55 pounds of dog with one zipper. So they make a good product. I just want to say thank you to them.
Shout out to YKK for making good zippers.
Yep. Secondly, as she was in here, she started grousing around kind of like she is there. So I reached back to pet her, and when I reached back to pet her, a rooster got up. So she was still trying to do her job in the bird bag. And I missed that rooster because I wasn't paying enough attention. Hey, it's okay. Last thing, life is too short to shoot an ugly gun. So that's a CZ Supreme Field. Hand engraved. Anyway, so hope you're having a good rooster season. Give us a shout on Facebook, Instagram, at CZ USA Firearms. There's Sage.
He's doing such a great job.
He's doing a great job.
How old is he?
He is 9 months.
9 months, and he's pointing birds like a pro. And he casts so well. He runs the whole line of shooters and moves birds.
He's just got natural talent. He's a good dog.
Alrighty.
Thank you. Have a good.
So we hit this cover, pheasant field, alongside a nice tilled field of grain. We moved 4 birds. They double backed on us a lot, so it took us a while to get some clear shots. We killed 1 bird, a first-year bird. I'm running Ear Pro in one ear, Walker silencer Bluetooth. My tinnitus is acting up a little bit. I have tinnitus in that ear from going to concerts at a younger age, not from shooting. The 20 gauge that I'm shooting is pretty quiet for the most part, but the wind changed and blew back towards me, which carried the sound a little bit closer to my head, which is causing my tinnitus to act up in that ear. The reason why I don't run 2 out in this field with the silencer Bluetooth is it picks up all your foot noise, and when a bird flushes, it's almost impossible to hear the bird flush. So I don't have any issues with my right ear. I hear perfectly fine with my right ear, and because I'm cheek welded, my right ear gets sheltered a lot more from sound, so I don't have any issues with that. So anyway, a baby girl. Getting the dogs all cleaned up. bird storage.
Oh, she's not letting me get it.
We're gonna hit this very large field. Yeah, buddy. So just came from a waterway over there. We pushed 2 roosters, shot 1, cutting across this cornfield. Oh, was corn, still corn. Getting down to this waterway here, and we're gonna work both sides of the waterway, push up with the dogs on either side. Hopefully we hit a covey of quail in here, and then move a bunch of roosters through that cover. And way down there is our blockers. We've got 2 folks down there that are there to shoot whatever comes out the end. Because these roosters are running the whole length of these waterways to the very end. We're flushing birds at the very end. Good night, Kansas. Hit probably the toughest cover yet. It was like 2 miles of hate. Didn't get a bird to move because it was so thick. We got one on the other side of that cornfield. Now it's puppy maintenance.
You already checked that?
He's clean?
Alright.
How many thorns did he have?
He had 1 deep in 1 paw.
Oh, poor baby.
Good boy. Good boy.
Is there like any like balm or stuff you put on their paws at night after getting an injury?
Yeah, we use back balm because they can actually lick it and eat it. So
All natural.
Yeah, sweet stuff. So yeah, now
It's
we're
good
gonna
for
hightail
udders, it's good for
to Bird
paws.
City. We're gonna get supposedly the best steaks in Northwest Kansas.
So we're probably gonna go straight to Bird City?
Probably. We might not stop for showering.
I don't need a shower.
Yeah, you need a shower. I was walking down there with you.
He's scary as shit.
I got wet wipes and I showered twice in the last 24 hours.
That's 2 more
May not
times
be-
than he has.
It may not be enough for you.
Fuck you. Probably be a better truck than the F-150.
Probably. Yeah.
See,
I don't like F-150s.
why are you pulling over here?
This is it.
He was on that way.
Stop talking.
That's your house. This is him. Oh, we're going in there. Look at that cow catch.
It's a ranch hand. That's the one that I destroyed on the front of this the first time.
Gonna shoot some birds today.
Did you bring in dogs too?
Yeah. Well, we're working a field with like all of us pushing an entire field is the plan.
No, that was Freya. No, the second one. Oh, the second one.
Yeah.
Brooks got it.
Look at these ear
The
holes.
asthmatic doggy came through for you.
She did. I was real proud of it.
So pheasant have giant ears.
When you see her, we're
See that hole? They can hear you coming from a mile away. When you're hunting them, you don't talk. Try not to talk as much as possible. Try to sneak up and be quiet on them
There you go.
so they don't flush too early. But you can see their ear canal is almost as big as ours on this little bird. Look at those things.
Thank you guys.
Say hi.
Thanks guys. Thanks Scott, appreciate it. Happy hunting, gentlemen. Enjoy your journey. Happy hunt.
Thank you, Scott.
Did you get lunch? Yeah. What's popping? What you bought? I didn't want you.
You're in Atwood. Stop here.
Hey, I'm Scott Carlson. Welcome to Carlson's Choke Tubes. My fingers are big and they won't go around that drop. The chokes here, so we buy all of our material and ship it to our places that we have made here in the States. Everything's made in the United States. And in the back.
No, not yet. We're working on it.
Well, if you want to get your snap caps,
He's done about that many too.
Normal forcing cone, length and forcing cone. How much space does a choke need for its constriction? How much? What are the parallels? What do they do?
Okay. So we'll do two things. First, we'll do the forcing cone issue. So the forcing cone on a shotgun is the area right in front of where the shell sits in the chamber. So if you have a 3-inch 20 gauge or 12 gauge, more forcing cone has been removed than if you had a 2 3/4 inch gun. But you can still go into a 3-inch shotgun and take more forcing cone out. And what you're doing is the step that's inside the barrel that's stepping it down to the bore, you're lengthening that so that it tapers and so that there isn't a big shock when it goes off. Now it tapers into the bore. So you cut your recoil. The other thing it does is it helps the shotgun's pattern better. That's what lengthening a forcing cone does. So if you got a 3-inch gun, you've got an effect of a lengthened forcing cone. You can still lengthen it further and get more recoil reduction and probably better patterns. And then his question to choke. So, you know, why would you want to shoot an extended choke over a flush mount choke? I'm gonna pull this one out real quick. The gun was empty. Choke. And that's what this is. So this is a flush mount version. This is an extended version. So somebody would ask, well, you know, what's the difference? Why would you shoot an extended choke? So on a flush mount choke, you have a parallel section, which is the actual choke section, which is on the end of the choke. And at the start of the choke, where the shot and wad enter, it tapers from that point to the parallel or choke section. So on this flush mount choke, you've probably got 3/4 inch of parallel section. To get a gun to pattern as well as it can, you need 1 inch 100 thousandths is what we have found. By extending the tube that much more, we get more than 1 inch 100 thousandths. So now we're out here, and that's why an extended tube will out pattern a flush mount, because they have longer parallel section in them, so it's going to simulate all the pellets as it passes through in a longer area. The other thing with these tubes, with this Beretta Benelli mobile choke system, the threads are at the top of the choke. So if you're shooting steel shot, every time you shoot this thing, that steel shot is just pounding those threads. Well, if you can extend that parallel section out here where there is no threads, you know, it's a lot easier on the choke and the barrel because you got most of the choke outside. The other thing that these work good for in some states, you know, where you don't have to have your gun in a case. A lot of guys, you know, just set the barrel on the floorboard. You got an extended tube in there, it protects the muzzle, and they're easier to get in and out. So those are some advantages of extended tubes, but the main advantage is you get better patterns out of them, especially with heavy loads like 3-inch loads and with steel shot. Big advantage for shooting extended tubes. That's like I tell people, they say, well, I get 3 chokes with my gun. Well, what people don't understand is chokes are made out of different material. And like what we make our chokes out of and other aftermarket choke companies is 17-4 stainless, which is harder than what the manufacturers do. But the manufacturers are only worried about primarily lead shot. They're trying to keep the price of their guns down. If they had to triple the price of each one of these tubes, then you got to raise the MSRP on the gun. So they just ship what's adequate and would work if you were only going to shoot lead shot. But you know, if you want to shoot and have better patterns, you can upgrade your chokes with extended tubes and get better patterns out of them. So, anybody have any questions about parallel sections or taper sections in the choke or bore diameters?
I have a question about choke tubes in general.
Okay.
When you have your consumer and they're out there and they're trying to pick between all these different aftermarket chokes, and I understand I'm here at Carlson's, but what's the difference? How does someone who's shopping for chokes identify a quality choke, and what should they look for? Like, what's the difference between yours and Brimey's and somebody else's and our rim choke aftermarket? And all
Well, I
that?
think there's a lot of good aftermarket chokes. I think one thing with our product, we make it out of the same thing that higher price chokes are made out of, and these are about half price. So, but you know, why you would want to go with an aftermarket choke is like what we talked about before, because it's made out of better material. You know, and the first thing you got to identify is why do I need a choke? You know, am I going duck hunting? Am I going pheasant hunting? Am I going target shooting? Because that goes back into the constrictions of these different chokes. How much constriction do I need? So like if you were quail hunting, like what we were doing today, that skeet choke would have been perfect, because you can see the way those little, I call them rockets, the way they go. If you had a bigger pattern, they're a lot easier to hit than if you're shooting a full choke at them. So like the most important thing is to identify what you're going to hunt. But if you want a good all-round choke that would pretty much work for everything, you could probably get by with like a light modified or a modified and just run that on everything. I mean, you wouldn't probably want to use that turkey hunting, but that would still probably be a good enough choke out to 40 yards to whack a turkey for sure.
What would you recommend for an over and under then, for upland game?
You know, if you're hunting preserved birds, you know, or you're hunting and maybe you got some weather, you got some cool weather, so the birds are bunched. You know, I like running an icy and a mod, and that's a big advantage of running with an over-under or a side-by-side, because you're not shooting the same choke all the time. So just like when those quail got up on us today, you know, they're like 15 yards maybe. So if you had a skeet choke in the bottom and you had a light mod or modified for the second shot when they're out there at 30 or 35 yards, you got an advantage over somebody shooting a semi-auto or a pump, because you've got two different choke selections. The disadvantage you only got 2 shots, but you can set the gun up so that it'll reach out farther for you, rather than like, you might set yours up just to shoot light modified, and that first shot at 10 or 15 yards, you know, it's not as forgiving as that skeet choke is, because it's so open.
So here's a weird question, and I've puzzled this one for a long time. If you have 2 shotguns, or even the same shotgun with 2 barrels, and one of them has a bore diameter of 730, one of them has a bore diameter of 740. The one with the bore diameter of 740 has a 10 thou constriction in the choke. The 730 has no constriction in the choke. So this one is a cylinder bore, this one has 10 thou, but it's overbored to begin with. What is the difference in pattern going to look like?
The pattern should look
the same.
the same, yeah.
Okay.
But the backboard barrel is going to have less recoil, because the barrels open up, the forcing cone area and all that work's been done to it. So that's why Browning came out with the backboard barrels, and I think you guys even offer a backboard barrel gun. And that's for recoil and for patterning. I mean, you know, the patterning that we've done, you know, I don't really see a huge advantage of the backboard barrel as far as patterning. Recoil, I see it more.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, and that's another important thing that everybody needs to do, and they don't understand it. Everybody thinks these guns will shoot, point, and aim out of the box. Just like this target right here we were shooting, and you can see all the pellets are kind of here. That's where that gun shot. I mean, into a factory, that's adequate. You know, they don't shoot these shotguns. You know, I don't know how many CZ pattern tests, but I'll bet they pattern test one out every 300 or 400.
We pattern test every competition gun.
Oh, right. I mean, I'm talking
But
field
for
guns.
field guns, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a manufacturer, I think they say in a 30-inch circle at 40 yards, they want 80% of the pellets. Well, there's 80% of the pellets in here, but you know, they're a little high and a little right. Not a lot, but that's where they're at. So, you know, you can put different sights on there, or like this gun, we probably put a red dot on because it's a turkey gun, and then you can adjust that. But if a gun's shooting left or right off, it's harder to correct. You can adjust the barrel. A gunsmith can do it. If the gun's shooting high or low, it's easier to adjust, and a higher shooting gun is better than a lower shooting gun, because with a higher shooting gun, you can just see the target you're shooting at and hit it dead on, rather than cover like most shotgunners do with shotguns. Most shotguns are supposed to shoot dead center here at 40 yards. But if you got a high shooting gun, then you can see the target to break it.
Hey guys, so this is our last day of the Rooster road trip with CZ USA. We got up super early, first light, moved some birds out of their beds, but they were flushing way ahead of us, and we worked an entire square around this walkland, and we got the best rooster of the trip. It's got the biggest spurs, pretty heavy guy. I took him down with the Bob White 20 2-trigger English style, and then Zach, holding the camera, finished him off with a 20 gauge sharp tail. But we worked a lot for this bird, but it was well worth it because it is the biggest bird of our trip so far. So real happy about that. Last day.
Just a million better.
I mean, it's a good starting pistol. It's like the Honda Civic EX hatchback from the 90s. There's a million parts for them. You can dress them up whatever way you want.
They always just work.
Yeah, but then you get people that are like, why doesn't my $3,000 Glock not run? It's because you're tolerant stacking the shit out of it. You've put so many parts in that gun that aren't meant to be working together. And any of those companies that put one part in it, they test that one part, not that one part with whatever recipe you've put together. And then you get these people that are like, oh, my guns don't work, or I broke an extractor, or this, that, and another. It's like, you're tolerance stacking. You're stacking tight tolerance, what is called a match fit, which is not really a match fit. Cows. It was a nice stretch of highway to video. Rooster road trip finale. Headed to the airport to change into travel clothes, clean up, take a poop, get lunch, go home. How many birds did we shoot this week? 15, 16, 20, 30, closer to 30, 25? About 25. 25 birds in 3 days. 3 days of hunt.
3.5.
No, it's not 3.5 because we didn't start till half days the first 2 days. So it's basically 2.5 full days of hunt. 2.5 full days of hunt. That was pretty good.
It's 72 hours.
72 hours, 25 birds, full tummies. Shout out to Wilson, Kansas for having the largest Czech egg in the United States. This is like the Czech capital of the United States.
It's the Czech capital of Kansas for sure.
Czech capital of Kansas. And they have a big fucking egg. It's been graffiti.
It's the world's largest Czech egg.
Oh, world's largest Czech egg. Guinness Book of World Records. Big ass egg. Click like, subscribe, check us out, leave a comment. We love to hear feedback.